I remember the early days of Koenigsegg. Growing up in Sweden, back in 1996, Koenigsegg had their first prototype ready and was testing it on the streets of Sweden. And I remember the buzz this created in Sweden, because Sweden is a country of safety wagons, such as the Volvo V70, the Saab 9.5. Very low-key cars, very functional, and very Scandinavian. So this kind of went against everything that Scandinavian car culture stood for up until that point. And to me, this is very refreshing. I put Koenigsegg in the same kind of category as Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They put Sweden on the map by being untraditionally Swedish in their work and style. So what I want to show you in this video is the Koenigsegg design DNA. I love to go into brands like this and figure out what lines makes a Koenigsegg. We're also going to have a look at the brand new KOENIGSEGG Gemera, or Gemera in Swedish, which means give more. And this car gives a lot more in a lot of different aspects, and we're gonna talk about all of them in this video. And then in the end of this video, I'm going to do something I've been wanting to see for a very, very long time, and that is a hypercar wagon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the Gemera and I'm going to redesign it into a hyper station wagon. Typical Swedish, so we're going to mix the Swedish traditional car culture with this insane Koenigsegg philosophy of building cars. So make sure you stick around for that in the end of the video. Before we go in and turn the Gemera into a station wagon, I want to show you the Koenigsegg design DNA. As a designer, it's very fun and interesting to go in and figure out what key lines makes the Koenigsegg a Koenigsegg. So if you were to design a Koenigsegg, what are the design features and lines that you definitely need to have in the design for it to be recognizable as a Koenigsegg? So we're gonna start back here with the CCX from 2008. And to me, the main feature of every single Koenigsegg is the wrap-around windshield. It looks like almost a fighter jet, and the A-pillar is barely visible. It's almost like it's part of the whole wrap-around window, as you can see here. The A-pillar right here is barely visible, and you have this whole design feature or graphical element right here that wraps around the car, the greenhouse, and goes pretty far back here. So that's one design feature that every Koenigsegg kind of needs to have for it to be a Koenigsegg. The second feature is the almost bubble style greenhouse in the silhouette. If you look at the Koenigsegg from a side view, you have this almost continuous curve here, right here. It doesn't have any, it doesn't pan out at any point. It's a continuous curve that goes almost in the same radius from the starting point here all the way back to the rear end right here. And this, now that you look at it, it's kind of starting to look like a helmet from a side view. And maybe that's the point with the Koenigsegg, but it's pretty interesting to see when you put the red lines out like this to kind of see what the lines are going to build up. So here we have the wraparound windshield, the windscreen, and then we have the bubbly roofline, and this starting to look like a helmet. So what are another design feature that we can pick out here from the Koenigsegg design DNA? And that would be this line right here and the air intake down here. This shape of the air intake has stayed the same throughout the models, from CCX to the Agera to the Regera and now to the Gemera as well. It's a trademark design for the Koenigsegg brand, and again, one of these features that you can't be without if you're designing a Koenigsegg. The last feature of this side view design is something that's not really visible yet here in 2008 on the CCX, but you kind of start to see it, or you see the hint of it here, and that is this intake here, or this crease in the body, which later became an air outlet in the body of the car. So if we go ahead and look at the models that came after the CCX, let's try and identify these key features in all of these models and then transfer it over to the Gemera and see how close that is to the original CCX, or even the original prototype from 1996, the CC. So here we have the Agera, and that is basically based on the CCX. So the proportions are still the same, and the lines are definitely still there. We still have all of these key lines that we have on the CCX. We have the wraparound windshield like this, and the line, the bubbly roof line that goes over here, starting over here, and creates this helmet profile. And then also we have the same type of air intake down here as we have on the CCX. And this continues with the Regera as well, although now we have a new body style. And now we also have this side air outlet that came on the Agera right here, and kind of was hinted on the CCX, that evolved into a proper side air outlet there. But we still have the same kind of styling for the air intake on the side, and the same kind of wraparound window right here, and bubble roof stretching over there. So the DNA is still there. And then finally the Jesco right here. And this, even though it is a lot more complex of a design, the design is evolving and it's kind of maturing. We still have these 3 design features intact on this design as well. We can start with the air intake right here, which follows the same kind of style. We have the air outlet in the front right here, and the bubbly roof, of course, and then the wrap around windshield right there. So how does this translate now to the brand new 4-seater? That's the interesting part. To turn this, to transfer these key lines that has been specifically designed for a strictly 2-seater car, how do we transfer that into a 4-seater? So let's have a look at the Gemera now and see how it translates. And here it is, of course, the brand new Gemera 4-seater, first 4-seater GT Koenigsegg ever made. And let's have a look at the design key lines that we identified in the previous models here. We can see that the bubbly roof here, first of all, is now extending all the way from above the front wheel. Usually it starts somewhere here, but now it's extended all the way, stretched out here, and all the way back to this point, basically the very end of the car. And before we had the line going something like this, like that, but now this has been extended to fit 4 people inside of the car, obviously. And also the wraparound window is still intact. That's definitely one of the key elements of any Koenigsegg, and that is still there. We still have the 2 intakes and outlets of the air. We have the main air intake right here, which still follows a similar shape to the other models of Koenigsegg. And then we have, of course, the outlet right here, which looks like a blade or a cut in the body of the car, but it is at the same spot and the same kind of styling as previous models as well. And what I love about this Gemera here is the tension. It looks like it's sitting under tension, almost like a stretched out bowstring ready to shoot an arrow or release the arrow at any second. It just looks tense and it looks powerful, and the stance is just there. It looks planted on the ground. And honestly, to me, I think this bubble roof here, it works better on a 4-seater than it does on a 2-seater, because this creates a long sweeping line and it just makes a nice dynamic flow to this design in combination with this shoulder line that has some waves in it and creates some emotion, a little bit of Italian styling in there. Previously, this shoulder line has been very straight on all the Koenigsegg's, but we're starting to see some more confidence in the styling here. And to me, this is the best looking Koenigsegg yet. And it's funny that it is, because it's their first 4-person vehicle. Usually 2 doors, and coupes are very easy to make good looking. But they really nailed it with this 4-door Gemera. I think it looks beautiful. It looks so planted. And I do see some Porsche Cayman in the rear, but to me that's not a bad thing. And I also like how all of these key lines here just converge into creating this ducktail that's integrated in the body of the car. It kind of acts as an endpoint and sets the design off in a beautiful way. And I also really like how the front view pays homage to the first ever prototype from 1996, the CC. It has the same kind of styling to it, of course a lot more refined 25 years later, but the design elements and the graphical features are still there. They're still pretty much the same as the first concept from 1996, which is a very cool touch. Now, of course, we can't make a video without a redesign. So what I wanted to do here is create something really ridiculous. I wanted to make the Gemera I wanted to turn the Gemera into a station wagon or a shooting brake or whatever you want to call it. But in general, a wagon. I want to add some Swedishness to this design since it's a Swedish car, and Sweden is in fact the epicenter of wagons in the world. So I had no choice. I had to make the Gemera into a wagon. So let's see how this is going to turn out, and then I'll come back with some final words before we end this video. And that's it. I just wanted to share what I think about this Koenigsegg design and how interesting it is to see the development of Koenigsegg as a brand and their DNA, and how they're growing into becoming a very, very strong brand just based on their design. Let me know what you think about the Gemera. Do you like it? Do you think it's a bit overkill, or should they have designed this in a different way? Let me know in the comments below. I'm TheSketchMonkey. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care.